Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto x Inuzuka tsume x temari? Go support and follow the Megatronus89 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. It was strange, to say the least. I have been hated, scorned, abused, neglected, and persecuted for something well beyond my control. It was the moment of my birth that changed everything. I knew my mother and father loved me with all their hearts. My mother's last words stayed with me even if I could not fully remember them. It was my father's final and dying wish that I would be praised a hero. I was meant to be seen as the savior to the masses, to be loved and adorned for the heavy burden I would carry until the day I died, to be seen as a prince of the people. But I was not destined for such a life. Beaten, tortured, tormented, and animosity were the entitlements I was given. Broken bones, poor housing, rotten food, rigidity, rags for clothing were my gifts for the daily sacrifice I have to endure for as long as I could remember, until my final breath. My mother once asked, "Is it better to be feared or respected?" I ask in turn, why not both? Standing on the edge of a bridge, a large spear protruding from his stomach breaking a very important part seal is where it has all began. One fool's cowardly mistake is the another man's ticket to becoming the most feared being in all the lands. The cries from two individuals as they looked on in horror as he fell to his knees, before falling off the bridge into the merciless sea below. "Sasuke! Did you know what you just did?" yelled a silver-haired man as he picked up the one responsible for the death of his most beloved students. "Yeah. I did what was need to live. Who cares about some clanless nobody?" yelled the young teen who had yet to have his balls drop. Sasuke lovers and fans, beware bashing ahead. "You are just as clanless like him, have you forgotten?" the man yelled before punching the raven-haired teen, letting him fall to the ground with a swollen eye. "I will have your head for this, Kakashi. I will order the coup." "Shut the fuck up, you fucking whiny ass bitch. Council can't do shit. And when the Hokage hears of this, he will either imprison you or kill you on the spot without trial, since you have just committed treason." Kakashi yelled at the sole Uchiha with his own Sharingan spinning dangerously fast, so much so that one would believe it to be a whole new Kakei Jinkai. Before he could make another retort, an unnatural bestial roar echoed across the surrounding area. It was like a wildcat's growling screech, a timber wolf howl, and a tiger's roar mixed into some unknown animal. Then the bridge started to shake. The high crane towers swayed as the bridge buckled like something massive had struck the support pillars. The bandits and their employer were now shaken to their souls. Zabuza and Haku were faring better but still nervous. Zabuza heard that sound before years ago, back when he was a child from his homeland. "It can't be, it just can't," the swordsman said, terrified of what this could mean. "What is this Zabuzasama?" asked the kunoichi by his side. "Haku, when I tell you to run, run, and don't look back. Whatever made that sound was strong enough to cause the miniature earthquake not long ago," Zabuza said, eyeing the edge when he had seen that blonde brat fall off from. "I never thought I would hear that monster ever again." Now this earned the attention of Kakashi as he looked to the Mist Shinobi. "You know of this thing? It may not mean much to you, copycat. But when I was younger than those brats you have, I heard that sound back from my homeland." "So it's native to the land of waters?" the masked ninja asked, raising an eyebrow. "No, Yuzushiogakuer," the man said as everyone could each something clawing its way up. The sound of concrete being crushed coming near was putting many on edge. Kakashi was shocked to learn of this. That would mean his sensei's wife would have known about this. The locals say it's a great beast. A beast so feared that even the Biju are wary of it. So powerful that every known animal submits themselves to it. Like it is some form of super alpha. "Any name?" Kakashi asked, readying a kunai in hand, mentally curing have myself for leaving his ninjato behind. "Ananiko no Kaige. Or simply the shadow of the demon cat," Zabuza said just as another demonic roar came from below. Named as such as the only thing anyone could see was a shadowy image of a cat or tiger-like animal before people were ripped to shreds. Now everyone was worried. Even the so-called mighty elite Uchiha was pissing his pants in fear. But as their attention was forced at the edge of the bridge waiting for this monster to come from, the sounds of men screaming for their lives caused them to turn around to witness a sight of something that even a war-hardened veterans like Kakashi and Zabuza to feel like fresh out of the academy genins to feel at the fist sight of blood. as limbs and mutilated men lay all over the road of the bridge. The cause of this was now pacing back and forth in front of the former employer of the bandits, its deep toxic green eyes glaring at the man. Every so often a feral hissing from the beast kept the man from relaxing. The beast then stopped before standing on its hind legs, aching its full height of 7 feet 8 inches. The muscular frame easily dwarfed both Chunin. Everything about it said speed and power. The elongated bone-like blades it had for fingers and toes and bone-like swords coming from the elbows and knees told both men that this thing was capable of close-quarter combat. It had the legs like any feral feline or canine, but the 4-bladed toes were as long as a kunai. The fingers were longer than a normal person's and the nails were a different story. The sharpest of the nails shown it could rip a full-grown man into unrecognizable pieces. But before Gato could even scream in his own terror, the beast cleaved the man's head clean off his body. The quick shift of its head toward the group of ninjas caused everyone to flinch. Pacing forward on its hind legs like a human before dropping down onto all fours and had at them and jumped over the Jonin, and landed before a frightened Sakura, who turned her head slightly to cast the Uchiha a pleading look. A look that begged her knight in shining armor to rescue her. Only for said Uchiha to back away as quickly and steadily as possible. The deep growling from the beast before her caused a terrified eat from the girl as the creature stood before her so close in fact that the nose of the feral being was just inches from her own. She knew from her own pet cat that it was sniffing her, before making a decision on what it should do. But before it could do anything, Kakashi tried to save her, or at lesser getting the girl's attention before launching a jutsu at the beast. Sakura. He would have done more if the dark growled from the thing as it stood before the pinkette in a guarding and protective manner. Shakarag. Came a deep and throaty voice from the creature. Like it had said Sakura, though it strained itself when speaking, showing it had some intelligence. Looking back to her, Sakura would have sworn she saw those terrifying green eyes shift to a familiar blue before shifting back to toxic green with narrow eyes. With an angry growl, the beast ran from where they had both been standing to the one of the stone railing along the side of the bridge, before turning to look back at each of them. Shakeo Rag. It said before leaping over the edge of the bridge. A moment later the sound something hitting the water below eased everyone from the tension. Feeling they may be safe, Zabuza and his apprentice vanished into swirls of mist and ice. Kakashi turned to look at his remaining students. He thought it would be better if they went back to Tsune's place. It had been a long morning. It was evening when everyone felt safe. Kakashi had tied Sasuke and placed a sealing tag upon the boy. Sakura sat quietly still in shock of seeing so much blood. The aforementioned Uchiha was having a fit. If was capable of yelling, he would have it. This silencing seal washing placed over his mouth, keeping his quiet. Now, since I believe Zabuza has left for good, I will keep watch overnight in case any of Gato's former employees try and do something, Kakashi said, but was doing this mostly to make sure he doesn't have to look at the disgusting mug of the Uchiha. He sat for what seemed like hours, regretting everything. He had lost the lasting person that had connection to his former sensei. He couldn't protect the boy like he promised he would. If he hadn't been so focused on that damn bastard's child tied up in the house, maybe, just maybe, the blonde bundle of joy and energy would still be alive. Kakashi sat looking up at the moon. He didn't know why he was thankful to whatever deity or demon entity that looked out for them today by sending that monster. The silver-haired man couldn't help but chuckle dryly at what he would have to do when he got back to Konoha. He didn't know whether to curse or be thankful that the misty hid the creature. While he may not have gotten a clear look at the beast, due to early morning fog, the only person who had seen the creature up close had went into shock and could only remember the color of its eyes. Kakashi could sigh in both regret and disappointment. Regret for not being able to be there for his sensei's son, and disappointment because of where his promise to his former teammate had gotten him. Hokage-sama will most likely kill me for this, Kakashi said as he looked over the surrounding area. In the distance he could hear that monster's unnatural howl. A week later. Today was finally the day. It was time to go back to Konoha. Kakashi was anxious to leave, with his remaining student, Sakura, and his detained psychopaths, Sasuke. How after a day or so began talking to himself about the ways civilian council will free him from this deplorable conditions. Thank you and your team, once again, Suna said, bowing his head to Kakashi and Sakura, though glaring at the Uchiha. I know that no matter how many times I say it, it would make the pain better, but I am sorry for your loss. But in honor of his death, and his heroic deeds, I will name this bridge for not only giving hope to this once bleak land of misery, but also for saving the only people know have left in my life, my daughter and my grandson. You don't have to, Mr. Tsuna, Kakashi said, trying not have a reminder of his failure. Even if you say that, it is thanks to him they are still alive while we are all still alive. The man said, pulling on a rope which shone the name of the bridge overhead. There was even a little plate that had an inscription. The Great Naruto Uzumaki Bridge. Named in honor of the young man, that had shown that even in our darkest of hours, there will always be hope, so long as you are willing to fight for it. May his soul find peace. Kakashi and Sakura could help but cry silently as they read the plate. Though Sakura was a bit more outspoken than himself, as her sobbing at losing a teammate on their first real mission was hard for a young girl her age. Sakura, you go on ahead, the seals on Sasuke will keep him from using chakra. Make sure to keep the road collar on him. He said he just needed time right now, to get his bearings in order. It had been just shitstorm since the bridge. After a few minutes, Kakashi was alerted to Sakura's scream, and the monstrous howl. Racing to her position, fearing the beast may have harmed his student, he was shocked to see that instead of what his mind had told him, his eyes had shown him differently. It wasn't Sakura who was being threatened, it was the Uchiha he was being pinned to a tree with a single clawed hand of the animal. It would seem that the Uchiha had tried to kill the Pinkette if the kunai and the animal paw said anything. But before he could, the beast pinned him to the tree, break a few ribs, and the unarmed arm along the forearm. Even the tree now showed the damaging force behind its raw strength. Before Kakashi could do anything, the beast pulled the Uchiha back a bit before slamming him into the tree, knocking the ravenet brat out cold. Turning its attention to the Pinkette, the beast's behavior changed from fearsome and feral to docile and tame, but still showed it was wild. Creeping close to the young girl, the beast was clear for all to see. Kakashi didn't know how to describe it. It looked to be a large cat-like creature, as big as if not bigger than one of the tigers from TG-44, Forest of Death. Though while covered in fur, there were places that showed the fur and the exposed skin area was peeled or had been torn away. But instead of muscle and tendons one would normally find, they saw bone plate armor beneath the skin. Kakashi knew why Sakura had been in shock. The face looked like a blend of human and animal. He even noticed that the tail of the creature has a bone hook, along its backbone, spikes along its spine, and vents. 4 vents along each side of its back. All 8 were angled in such a way with the opening closest to the spine were going up, and the further from the spine went down, since it mostly near the upper half of the back, where the lower trapezius and upper latissimus muscles would be on a human. Shakeo rag, the beast said, looking at the girl. Getting close as it had before losing its head, and dropped something and pushing it forward with its nose, until it made contact with her foot. It took a few small for it, steps back, looking at the Pinkette, and down again the beast turned and showed what those vents were for as chakra came jetting out, causing the beast to disappear at speeds well beyond what any shinobi could do, if they were not the 4th Hokage. Looking down at her view, both Sakura and Kakashi were shaken as a familiar headband laid there. It was Naruto's headband. Why did the creature do this? Did it somehow know who they were mourning for? Kakashi picked up the headband, knowing he would have to turn it over to the Hokage with a heavy heart. Then he caught a scent. It was Sakura's scent mixed with Naruto's. Sakura, can I ask why your scent is on Naruto's headband? He asked, shocked that it was stronger smell over Naruto's. Seeing the blush on the girl's face made him raise an eyebrow in curiosity. She said, mumbling her words. What? Can you speak up? He asked. He didn't hear her. I washed his cloths just before he died. She said, only to drop to her knees crying. The creature must have thought it was hers if the smell of Sakura's washing soap was anything to go by, and if the creature believed it was hers, then it brought it back to her. Thinks she lost her headband. Come on, we have to get going. We do not know if that thing is coming back, Kakashi said, picking up the unconscious teen and threw him over his shoulder. No break, Sakura. I don't even know if I could kill this thing if it decides to attack. Playing it safe, Kakashi and Sakura were now jumping through the trees, not knowing if the thing was following them or not. Konoha. Kakashi and Sakura were stand before the Hokage, who was openly crying as he held on to the forehead protector. They both had just finished their report. On several occasions in the last several minutes he had asked them if this was just another prank from the blonde. But this sad moment was ruined by an egotistical child. Once a dope, always a dope. he would die anyway. The Uchiha said only to be choked and slammed against the wall by the Hokage himself. The speed of which the old man of his age could do shocked everyone. Sasuke Uchiha. As of this moment forth, all entitlements the Uchiha have, be they accounts, land, investments throughout the village, will be hereby stripped from you. The Uchiha compound will be auctioned off to other clans. All jutsu the Uchiha have in their possession will be categorized and filed away for future use for higher ranks shinobi of Jonin, special Jonin rank, or higher. From now on, Sasuke Uchiha will be branded a traitor to the leaf and people. You will have your chakra and Sharingan sealed away tomorrow morning, and by the end of the month you will be executed for the death of the Hokage's son, Hiruzen said, glaring at the foolish child, before turning his attention to an ANBU. Wolf, I want you to inform a few ANBU guards to immediately gather the council, both shinobi and civilian. No. I retract that order. Tell them to inform all of Konoha. All civilian and shinobi must be present and accounted for. Should anyone refuse, arrest them. Looking back to the boy in his grasp, he decided best would have him knocked out. The punch he gave caused the last Uchiha's head to bounce off the stone wall. Kakashi, I think it is time Konohagakure to know they had disgraced one of their heroes, he said as he turned to Sakura, letting the grandfather persona show. Sakura-kun, what you will learn today will change how you once viewed Naruto Uzumaki. It had been roughly half an hour since he gave the order, and he was grateful that Konoha's citizens had shown up. My children, it is with a heavy heart I must tell you all that a grave and terrible sin has been committed by one of own shinobi, which in turn had resulted in thought death of a legacy. As he said this, many didn't know what it meant, while others were jumping to conclusions. As of a week ago, while on a mission, Sasuke Uchiha had chose to use one of his teammates in order to save himself, thus killing one of them. This legacy I spoke of was hidden from everyone, including the now deceased. The person was a child of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. He was hidden from those that would seek to harm him. He wasn't even told he was the man's son. But right now, I will say this. Each and every single one of you have sickened me. You treated this boy like trash. You beaten an innocent child. You abused his kind heart. You sold him rotten food at 10 times the normal price. You sold him rags for cloths. I am ashamed to even call you citizens of Konoha, Hiruzen said, glaring at everyone. Many started to piece things together. Where this was leading? Was the collective thought from masses. Today I announce the death of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki's son, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. And you have your fucking Uchiha to thank for that while he still lives, he said, revealing the truth of Naruto's parentage. He didn't care anymore. The one person that could illuminate the village was now dead. A child he saw as his own grandchild killed because of coward that was to Afriad to die. To say the citizens of Konoha were shocked was an understatement. Some tried to deny this, but somewhere deep in the back of their minds they knew it was true. The likenesses was uncanny. Many of the clan heads were guilt-ridden, especially those that were close to the boy's parents. Inuzuka, who had been on the boy's mother's genin team back in her youth, felt terrible. She was one of the few that actually promoted beating the boy and even instigated a few herself to get revenge on the boy for taking away her friend's life, caused her to vomit on the spot. She had caused the beatings of her childhood friend's own child. She didn't deserve to be called a mother for her actions. Haishu Hyuga, friend to Minato Namikaze since back in the academy days, tightened his fist to the point his palms were bleeding. He was enraged. He should have done more for the boy. He knew who the boy's father was after just looking at the boy once. He'd done his best to protect his in his own way, leaving birthday gifts and winter solstice treats, even protecting the lad a few times from beatings. He wanted to adopt the boy, but the council would deny him at every turn, using every loophole they could. The others weren't doing any better. Chorizo had went into shock. He had called the head of the young lad just moments after the boy was born. He wanted to kill the child of one of the few men who respected him and his family for being shinobi. Inoichi felt horrified, but not for anything he didn't, but at a what-if scenario. What if it was his daughter who had been chosen to house the demon? He couldn't even imagine what his former drinking buddy had went through doing that to his own child. Shikaku, while lazy, did everything he could for the boy, sneaking fresh food, deer hide blankets and cloths for the boy when he was younger. Sure, his wife had threatened him, but he had pieced together how the boy's parents might have been just hours after the Kyubi affair. To say the village felt horrible was grossly underestimated. It was roughly 3 weeks since then, and the village returned to normal. It would seem that some on the council were still supportive of the Uchiha, so he was free from his sentence. But the people of Konoha had quickly turned on the young heir. He no longer gotten discounts, he was sold rotten food 10 times the normal price. While he did try the council to get what had once been his clan's property, he was met with glares. He found himself being hated for killing their hero's son. The Uchiha name had become something of a joke, even an insult. Don't be a Uchiha, and stab me in the back. Remember, act like a Uchiha or the fourth spirit come, and you will take away. These were some of the ones that parents had told their children. Sasuke lost a lot of support now, he was met with disdain and hatred. Now, as he stood in the training ground punching a wooden post in his anger, a mocking voice earned his attention. Not high and mighty now, teen? Said arrogant voice from behind him, turning to see that a group of Chunin and Jonin appeared caused him to take a step back. Look guys, the baby-faced faggot thinks he can take on 13 Chunin and 16 Jonin. Angered by the man, Sasuke was about to retort with an insult but couldn't, as a knee found itself embedded into his gut, pushing all the air out of him. My father once praised the Uchiha name right next to Lord Forth's, but hearing that you killed the man's only son, well, let's just say the Uchiha name will be as worthy as a piece of shit, the one Chunin said with a smirk. Don't you mean a piece of shit is worth more? Asked a Jonin who was playing with a kunai. Does it matter? At least with Uzumaki he had a laugh. We may have not liked him, but at least he make it fun around here. I kinda missed the whole itching powder and pants prank, said on Chunin as he earned something laughter from the others. Paint bombs in the toilets. Tar and confetti. Flash bang and clothing swaps. Dude, that flash bang one was a good one. Every guy was swapped into a dress. But compared to this shit fucker, he made our jobs enjoyable. What did this kid do? Just grunts like he had anal beads shoved up his ass, another said as he kicked the ravenet in the gut. Making us look like fools trying to please him, said Aldi as she stomped on his leg. Always taking and never giving back, another said as he kicked the boy in the face. They would have continued if not for an unnatural growl from behind them. They didn't recognize it, but unfortunately the victim of their little beatdown had. Turning around, they were terrified of the monstrosity that came walking out of the forest tree line. Standing at just over 7.5 feet, the creature was easily terrifying to look at. One step was equal to 3 for a normal man. Jumping away from the boy on the ground, they had placed the Uchiha between themselves and the beast. To say it was a surprise for the former heir was an extreme understatement. The smell of piss and shit filled the air. The creature took a few sniffs and found that the source came from in front of it. Rearing its head back from the awful smell, the creature dropped to all fours and lifted one of its hind legs, pissing all over the boy's face, before turning around and kicking dirt and loose sand over the smell. It would have been funny for the shinobi and kunoichi that were standing a few yards away, if not for how threatening the feature was. Choosing to go back into the forest like a lazy beast, a deep growl could be heard as the beast let them know its disappointment in them, even as it gave a grunting chuckle as it left. Let's report this to Hokage-sama. He would need to know this. What happened after they report was shocking. The village was placed under immediate martial law, civilians were given curfew, the shinobi force were placed into patrol duty. Clan compounds were under their own lockdown systems. The village gates were closed save for the individual doors used for easy access, along with motion tracking spotlights. The ones in charge of both the gate and easily warring alarms were the legendary immortal Chunin, Izumo, and Kotetsu. This fucking blows, Izumo said as he banged his head on the desk. He was used to the job. By under martial law, it was different. He could take naps. He was forced to keep a lookout if something were to happen, in this case if something bigger than a child appeared at the front gates. Hey, it WSS either this or patrol duty. At least we could relax a little bit, his friend said with a hopeful grin. With our luck? Izumo asked as he sighed. They would have kept bantering if the spotlights didn't turn on and cause the alarm to blare in response to someone hang out in front. As the two Chunin and checked to see what could set it off, Anbu and Jonin assembled around the gate. All were battle ready. They nodded to the two Chunin to open the gate. As they did so, their readiness for battle fled, as the sound of something drawing came closer. As the sound got closer, they became horrified at what they saw, instead of a monstrous behemoth, they found a familiar sight of an orange and blue jumpsuit which WSS missing the sleeves and leggings, which had been torn asunder, claw marking covered to the one in front of them. The drawing they heard was because of the injured leg which was twisted in the wrong direction. He was barely holding himself up. It wasn't until a shocked and terrified shout from behind the group Al had awoken them from their terror. Naruto! This came from the Hokage himself as he pushed his way through the crowd of shinobi to the boy who collapsed at the front gates. Get a medic! Now everyone began to scurry like panicking animals as they got out of the way for a few, while others raced to the hospital to get a medic. Many would be rejoicing as the son of their hero had returned from the grave. Though sadly many began to wonder how did he survive. Was it because of the QB? Or did the boy's power of will force himself to come back? If it had been the latter's case, it would explain the lad condition and why it would have taken him so long to come back from the land of waves. It's coming, Gigi, the monster is coming, the monster with the green eyes is coming, Naruto said as his voice became hoarse. His warning did not fall onto deaf ears as everyone was now looking out into the dark of the night for where the beast might come from. As the medics arrived, they strapped him to a gurney and as quickly as they could took him to the hospital to get him fixed up. Close the gates, Hiruzen yelled, getting the Chunin to close the front gate. Turning his attention to his ANBU, he gave them their orders. I want 2 teams to watch each the gates. Send a volunteer from each group to report every 2 hours. From now until dawn, I want nothing entering or leaving these gates without my knowing. Am I clear? Hi, Hokage-sama. Many will not know how the boy lived, some fear how he did. But one thing was for certain. Hiruzen will find once Naruto regains consciousness. Or memories of a monster? I'm just fooling myself, she wouldn't see me as anything but a monster. The Beast, from Beauty and the Beast. It has been 8 days since Naruto was admitted to the hospital. He had yet to regain consciousness. The nursing staff and doctors were running around like headless chickens. All were doing blood tests, body scans, brain scans, anything they could think of to find the reason for the blonde's comatose-like state. Normally he would be up in a day or so like nothing happened. Lately reports of demonic wildcat noises happening around the village was now a growing concern. A few alleged sightings turned out to be false, while some had evidence like bizarre footprints or in a few cases the training grounds had been torn up with trees and boulders crushed or sliced to bits. Some began to believe that the Namikaze heir had brought it and sought revenge for their ill treatment of the boy, while others believed it had followed the boy back from his last mission. But there was one thing for sure everyone agreed on, it had yet to attack anyone. Like it was searching for something. Now among many of Konoha's citizens, there was one person plotting scheming to acquire the boy and this creature for his own use. This person was none other than Danzo Shimura, the former candidate for the position of the 3rd Hokage if it were not for Hiruzen Sarutobi taking that mantle. Even the former young upstart Minato Namikaze, he hated the man, that was certain, but his respect for that young man as his was the true definition of what a shinobi should be was formidable, though his reign was short-lived. Torai Shiko. Have there been any leads on where this creature might be? Danzo asked, looking over a few paper reports he had required from the Hokage's personal files. Negative, Danzo-sama. All sightings were either false or intoxicated hallucinations. Any hard proof we found after the incident with the Uchiha was that several would-be rapists have been scared off by either screeching howl it makes or fled after seeing it upon one of the rooftops. A man said wear a NBU cloak. While he wore the outfit he didn't have the standard mask with the depiction of an animal, instead it was pure white. And the Uzumaki boy? Danzo asked, looking up from the paper. While did not particularly cared for the boy, he had earned Danzo's respect as little it might be, protecting the great tree daily from the force that would have destroyed them. Still unconscious and unresponsive, his healing ability has slowed to a crawl, his flesh injuries though heal, but the trauma done by the poison and other factors I guess happened after the wave fiasco done some mental damage. Some of the doctors think the boy had retreated into his mindscape to fix any issues he may be suffering from. This time it was the other cloaked person, a female operative. She spoke in monotone, betraying no emotions, but here was a sense of individuality compared to other rude shinobi. Danzo closed his eyes, letting the new/old information sink in. He was forming several plans as of now, but what many did not know was Danzo had a shared path with this creature. Reaching up to rub his replaced arm, the phantom pains of it being ripped from the socket, and his left eye being clawed out, the terror and fear he felt when he led his route against the lands of Uzushio and the village of the Uzumaki, Uzushio-gakure. He knew that this creature was tied to them but didn't know how, perhaps a summoning animal or guardian of some kind. He was sure. But he had seen the raw, devastating power and skill the creature had as it tore through his men like a sword through paper. Torai Shiko. Keep me posted on any new information or sighting pertaining to the two aforementioned targets. Something tells me we are going to be seeing more issues arise from this, Danzo said in a cool, cryptic manner, but could only think to himself. Inhale, been over 40 years since I last saw this beast. Why return after so long? Perhaps the young lad brushed with death had awoken the creature and summoned it to him, like how the Sharingan is activated in moments of stress, or maybe in a fight or flight scenario perhaps. While Danzo dealt with memories of his past, his former rival was dealing with issues of his own. The seasoned Hokage was stressed to his wits' end. In the last few days, reports of a creature matching Kakashi's description have been sighted around the village. So far, nothing truly concrete. This is the 25th report in the last 4 days, but each is in a different location. While Kakashi had reported the animal's speed, it is impossible for it to be at one area to another in just a few seconds if the timing on the report are correct. The old man said, looking at the clusters of pins on the map of Konoha. 4 different colors stand for each night, and they have been spaced incredibly far apart. Even if the animal could use a short-range teleportation jutsu, it would not add up unless it can fly. The vents don't just help it accelerate its land speed but may be capable of short-distant flight. The professor thought as looked between each point on the map. This seemed to be a pattern of some kind he had missed. Thought his train of thought was halted when a bundle energy came rushing into his office. Hey Grandpa. His boss still not better? I tried asking the doctors and nurses but none of them even bothered to answer. Asked a helmet-wearing child with a long scarf with goggles on his head. Much like a certain blonde had worn what seemed like a lifetime ago. No, Konohamaru-kun. But it would seem that Naruto-kun had suffered exhaustion from the poison he had been assaulted with. Even I do not know the full extent of his injuries. The aged man said, thankful for a change of pace, but what shocked when his grandchild saw something he had not. Hey Grandpa, why is the hospital in the middle of all these pins? The young boy asked, pointing to where the only space on the map where none of the twine used to link the sightings had not intersected with each other. In fact, it was circled around the hospital by half a block. Konohamaru-kun, you bring up a valid point, the old man said, impressed with the boy's unique mindset. Sometimes one just has to take a step back and think like a child to understand a larger picture. Now he could see that the twine was always just missing the hospital. It was as if the animal was avoiding the place or was traveling to and from that position. I pray it was avoiding the place, for Naruto's sake. The Kage thought as he left the office while leading his young grandson to his tutor. It took the old man a few minutes to make it from the tower to the hospital. It was relatively calm since it was mid-afternoon, so no one will be as busy. Making his way to the young lad's recovery room, Hiruzen heard a noise, which wasn't normal to hear in a hospital. The sound of things breaking and being thrown caused the older gentleman to become battle-ready should things go south. Barging into the room, he was shocked to see what was before him. So much blood. The white walls, curtains, bed sheets, everything in the room was somehow covered in blood. But the one thing missing in the room was the blonde-haired, orange-loving genin, as the window had been broken, and standing at the opening was the creature. Glowing green eyes glaring at the older man, a deep growl escaping the creature's throat. Its front claws were stained in blood, and hanging from its maw was something that made the socket one of fright and guilt fall to the bottom of the old man's stomach. A torn and blood-stained orange and blue jacket. What have you done to Naruto, you monster? The man yelled, discarding his Hokage robes, revealing his ninja gear beneath. A dark hiss from the creature was his reply before it kept from the broken wall, and jumping across the rooftops. Hiruzen gave chase as the creature fled, leading him to a place that was too familiar to him. The forest of death. Where else would an animal go but to a place where it would be safer to most anyway? Deer, bear, wolf, and owl. This is the Hokage. Clearance code 0-3Y. Report to Training Ground 44. The creature has been spotted, and has most like harmed Naruto Uzumaki. Hiruzen ordered as he chased the beast further into the forest. It had been a while since he called for reinforcements. He would guess the creature was toying with him, as it left claw markings on trees, even a few pacing footprints like it had been waiting for him. Hokage-sama, Sorry for our lateness. Owl said, looking around area. He knew something was off. It was like the forest was watching them. A few clicking sounds and growls was all the ANBU agents were able to hear. A few times Owl and Wolf were able to pick up indication of something was around them. While Wolf was able to pick up a foul scent, was just barely able to see the thing in the tree with his Bikugan. We believe we were being followed or led here by this creature. Impossible. I have been chasing the animals since the hospital. Hiruzen said. He would have said more if not for a throaty and almost animalistic laugh come from around them. Come and find me. Not going to use the growling / speech like before. It's murder on the auto prediction on my phone. Came a demonic animal voice from the trees. Owl! The Kage yelled out, as the owl mask ANBU had activated his bloodline. The man began to shake. He couldn't believe what he was seeing with his all-seeing eye. Hokage-sama. They're just more than one. The masked Hyuga yelled as he saw 40 of these wild beasts hiding around them from the ground up into the trees. They all share the same scent, so illusions? Wolf asked. She knew animals. Mostly summon animalso and Niken could use jutsus, but wild animals not so much. No, they're all solid. I can see the chakra coils. Hamish said to his neighboring Kunoichi. Fuck. Was the collective though between the ANBU and the Hokage? But seeing one of the creatures stepping out from the shadows made them uneasy. It did not come out on all fours, no, it came out walking on its hind legs. Wolf, Inuzuka, felt her legs begin to buckle as the beast stood a foot and a half taller than herself. The creature looked to be covered in bone armor that was protruding from the creature's skin. It looked to be a blend of several feline animals, and neither an insect or reptile species. The upper body looked to be a humanized tiger, chest and arms with how muscular the frame was. The lower abdomen and legs looked to be a cat that had evolved for speed, with a cheetah or a panther. But the head looked to be a cougar. The tail was definitely a scorpion's tail, as it had a bone stinger. Though what truly terrified her and crushed her soul in guilt was the where they were. This was the spot of her most horrible of sins she had committed against the offspring of her old friend. That's cheating. Play hide and seek tag by the rules. Now this threw everyone for a loop. Here a monstrous creature was now pouting like a child. Dog lady knows the rules. She played the same game with Big Brother. Big Brother? Hiruzen though, he knew no one looked anything this creature. She always play this game with us. We run and hide in the forest. And she comes and finds us, then since we will always lose she would tickle us and tell us to try harder next time. The creature said, crossing its terrifyingly sharp clawed arms in huff. Mama was right about Dog Lady. She is always fun to play with, better than the villagers anyway. Nodding his head in understanding, Hiruzen was actually surprised the boy knew of that law. Then again, the boy said he always wanted to be Hokage, so he might have read up on the laws and rules of the village. Understandable, Naruto-kun. But what of the bloodline? He asked, not noticing the glare from the blonde. Yes, the Akuma Juno Henken. Naruto said, playing it off as he understood the question. But internally he was raving in anger. Some could feel his anger as he gave a thoughtful look. Well, I guess I could show them Anaju. Make sure no one harassed him, it might turn out badly. Understandable, wouldn't want any problems. Hiruzen said, agreeing to the blonde Uzumaki. He turned his attention to both councils. Everyone, what you're about to see will show why the Uzumaki was always victorious in battle. But please understand, what you will see has a mind of a child, so be kind. What happened next as Naruto stood forward? He took off his orange jacket, throwing it to the floor, left in his torso to be stretched and expand as it grew. His legs slowly have gotten longer. The sounds of bones being broken was sickening just as the boy's skin began to tear open. Bone plate and furry started to form all over the boy's body. Seeing that the boy was reaching his full height of 7 feet 8 inches, the scorpion tail grew quickly from the base of his back, going over his orange jumpsuits. Standing in all his glory, Anaju looked around confused as to where he was. But seeing the fear in the eyes of the civilians, Naruto could only laugh maniacally inside at their fears. But it was the same civilian that asked before shouted out in fear. It's the monster, kill it! This was soon followed by a shout of other villagers calling for the head of the beast. Anaju made a whimper and quickly hid behind Tsume, like a frightened child, peeking out from behind her as he tried to hid himself behind her smaller form. Doggy-chan, they being mean to me, Anaju said in a terrified voice of a child, coming from who the beast looked at made it creepy and made it feel just plain wrong. I didn't do anything to them, why are they being mean to me? Now the waterworks, along with the way it sounded, it caused many to stop. It sounded just like any young child being scared. This caused some of the women in the room to stop, letting their maternal instincts take off, wanting to ease the younglings' fears. It's okay, Anaju-kun. You just frightened them, Tsume said in a motherly tone. How? I didn't do anything. I'm a good boy, Mama said so, Anaju said innocently. I know, but look at how you look, not everyone can look like you, Tsume said. The part of alteration in her mind had made Anaju a truly separate personality from Naruto's, believing her own lies, which she would believe were true. Oh, was all the beast could said as it looked at the window and saw its reflection, before turning to look at the councils. Stepping forward from behind Tsume, Anaju kept his head low. Everything about his mannerisms said a child who is scared of being scolded. It's okay, kid. No one here will hurt you, Asuma said from his seat. He was agreed with Haishur and Shikaku. Stepping forward until he was standing in the middle of the council room, Anaju fretted like a young child before crowd. He quickly bowed and shouted loudly, I'm very sorry for scaring you, he said quickly, and just as quickly hid behind Tsume, showing that his was a shy creature. Many of the civilians and even the other clan heads who were not there when the Hokage formed Naruto in forest were flabbergasted at what they had seen. Anaju-kun, can you come here please? Hiruzen said as Anaju nodded and quickly jumped from where Tsume was sitting to where the Hokage's seat was. You did good, my boy. It okay, no one here will hurt you. Nodding in acceptance, Anaju sat by the Hokage in silence. But Tsume could see the dark satisfaction of a plan well played on his face. As you can see, Anaju-kun is Naruto-kun's bloodline personified. His beast-like nature, while still unknown, was related to the wave incident 3 weeks ago, when a certain party had almost caused the death of Anaju-kun's big brother. You mean the Uchiha? Asked Inoichi, only to be answered by a deep warning growl. Its source was sitting beside the Hokage. Anaju's ears were flat against his head, even his fangs were now bared. It's alright, Anaju-kun, Hiruzen said, easing the boy's temper, but harding his gaze to the Yamanaka. It would be wise not to mention him in front of Anaju-kun. He seems to have a strong dislike for the young lad's actions that could have killed young Naruto-kun. Oh, I am sorry, Uzumaki-san. Anaju. Inoichi asked, confused. It's Anaju, Uzumaki-san is big brother, Anaju said childishly, causing the Hokage and Tsume to laugh at the boy's behavior. Anaju began to yawn. His large and dangerously sharp teeth were shown. Jijukin, I'm sleepy. I'm gonna sleep now. Curling up, everyone watched in morbid fascination as the large creature began to shrink back to the normal size of the blonde Uzumaki from before. Sitting up and popping his arms and back, like he had just enjoyed a nice long nap, Naruto stood up. Ayag man, that felt great, Naruto said, scratching his back lazily, before noticing he was still in the council room. Yo-hey? Haha, hey says. Can you believe this guy? Akuma said with humor, causing everyone to get a good laugh. Fools, every single one of you, Naruto thought, though was giving a jubilant laugh along with everyone else. It would seem that only Tsume could read what he truly was thinking, as she had a sad smile look on her face, while shaking her head. Training Ground 7, the place where Team 7 will always train. Naruto sat in a tree in his beast form, keeping himself out of sight from his fellow teammates. It would seem that between the two, it was Sakura that felt like she was being watched, as she kept looking to the tree he was hiding in. The Uchiha was a dead duck. Ignoring his instincts of telling him to run, Naruto could only shake his head in disappointment. At least the girl trusted her gut instincts more than the formerly spoiled brat. He could also see that he was becoming less fit due to the spoiled foods he was eating. But what drew his attention was that Kakashi never broke eye contact with him the moment he spotted him in the tree. May as well give them a scare, Naruto thought to himself, switching to his Anaju personality. Jumping from the tree, and scaring the members of Team 7. Anaju had landed in front of Sakura this time. Instead of staying on all fours, Anaju stood his full height while never breaking eye contact with the green-eyed girl. You have pretty eyes, came the childish tone from the large beast, causing Kakashi and Sasuke to fall on their faces, as they both have been ready to fight the animal, seeing as they have yet to hear about Naruto's bloodline. You must be Sakura-kun. Big brother said a lot of good things about you. Big brother? Came the unified question from all three members. The creature said, nodding his head, confirming to their question. Yep. Big brother talks about all of you. But some are not so nice. Oh, and can we ask who is your brother? Kakashi asked with a nice smile, but was wondering how something that was so deadly just a few weeks ago was acting so innocent. Oh, you all know him, he is your teammate after all, indeed he is. The creature said, nodding his head with his arms crossed, and a smile on his face. Naruto? The three yelled, only for Anaju to cover his ears. Not so loud, loud noises hurt my ears. Anaju whined as he covered his ears. He looked at them, but his gaze turned from relaxed to an outright hated glare as he looked at Sasuke. I don't like you. Normally this wouldn't have bothered them, but it was how it was said, with so much hatred that those 4 little words held, caused the Uchiha's blood to run cold. The way his toxic green eyes seemed to glow with malice, it was far worse than what his brother had done to him. But the beast turned to look at Kakashi. You, I don't know, you confuse me, you seem happy but look and feel so sad. Why is that? Anaju asked innocently, tilting his head to the side, causing the female member of their team to resist with all her might not to scream out kawaii. Taken back by this, Kakashi looked at the creature, the innocent and childlike behavior off, those eyes told him to wary of it. While the question seemed innocent, it was like it knew him better than his own students. The only people who knew him better than himself were his sensei and Kushinagai. I don't know, maybe I haven't found the reason yet, Kakashi said coolly, noting the animal's eyes narrowing in on him. Kakashi, it's not your fault. Grow up. Baka! The creature said, but the thing that shocked Kakashi was those were the same words Kushina had told him when his father had committed suicide, and when he died. Turning to look at the pinkette. You have a large forehead, Anaju said. The other men of the group took a large step back, since they knew Sakura would probably swing a punch at it. Makes me want to kiss it. He followed through with what he said, kissing Sakura's forehead, shocking the girl out of her anger before it could even show. Big brother said the same words to you. Yep, indeed he did, Anaju said, nodding his head with an innocent, satisfying smile on his head. But it was Sasuke that said those words to me, not Naruto, Sakura said, confused. Nuh. Big brother changed himself to look like him. Everyone felt a dark chill run down their backs as the beast turned to look as the Uchiha, before it vanished and turned back to the girl. He wanted to say those words years ago, but he was too shy to say them, plus you made it very clear you disliked him. Now it was odd, a creature that looked so menacing, was now drawing circles in the dirt with a rain cloud over his head. But Big brother finally got to say them kinda. He wasn't very smart, making himself look like him. Again, everyone could feel the animosity the beast held towards the Uchiha. He even asked me to protect Sakura after he had almost killed him. Now Kakashi wasn't as smart as Shikaka Nara, but he could piece information together faster than most shinobi sometimes. You know, you have yet to give us your name, Kakashi said, finally noticing that the creature know them, but they don't know him. Oh yes, sorry. I am Anaju Uzumaki, Big brother's little brother, Anaju said happily, but the creature went stiff as a board as if hearing something. I have to go now, Big brother isn't happy right now. The tone in which Anaju spoke was like hearing someone was disappointed in them. Bye-bye Sakura-kun. Keep looking pretty, Anaju shouted as he began to shrink where he stood, modifying Team 7 as a 7-foot-8-inch monster slowly shrank down to the size of a normal person, but it was who that Anaju had reverted to that shocked the. As standing in Anaju's place was the last member of Team 7. Naruto? Kakashi asked, stunned to see the blonde knucklehead standing there holding his head, in pain. Damn it, Anaju. Couldn't you have waited? Rushing the transformation hurts, the blonde muttered as he stood silent for a moment. It alright, just take it slow next time. Naruto turned to look at Team 7 like he had finally noticed them. Oh, hey guys, Naruto said awkwardly as possible. But it was Sakura's beet red face that got his attention. Sakura-kun, you feeling okay? Naruto said, getting up close to her, only to place the palm of his hand on her forehead, and place the other on his. I think you might sick. Clueless idiot was the thoughts of Kakashi and Sasuke, as they looked at Sakura and to Naruto, wondering when he would be punched. You idiot! Sakura yelled, throwing her fist towards his face only to see being stopped by Naruto, who had caught her by the wrist. Don't try that again, Anaju-kun won't like it, Naruto said, letting one of his eyes shift into a dark green color. This caused the fight in Sakura fade. While she was scared of Naruto, she was horrified of Anaju. Besides, I think Anaju-kun has a crush on you. And you don't? Came a sarcastic retort. Watch what you say, Uchiha. Naruto said, this time both his eyes flashed green. Ma, calm down everyone, I think you guys need to relax a little bit. Oh. I forgot, I have some forms for you guys. Kakashi said, pulling out, puns? Some papers. It be said are your Chunin exam forms, starting the end of this week, the Chunin exams begin. The day started like any other that had been before, shop vendors opening their shops. Few shinobi and kunoichi getting their shopping done before the civilian rush that would soon start. But this morning was from all the other previous ones. Naruto was sitting lazily on his couch reading over the exam sheet he was giving the day before. Naruto had a look of deep concentration. He was looking over the details of what he should suspect in the up-and-coming Chunin exams. But his look of deep thought shifted into one of extreme pleasure, as he moaned at the feeling he was having. Looking down, he couldn't help but smirk as he watched the one responsible cor his early morning pleasure. He was surprised when she came over late last night. But right now he couldn't complain, seeing her being so submissive with her lips stretched around his manhood, the feeling he felt every time her tongue stroked the underside. Taking a handful of her hair, Naruto roughly thrust it upwards with pushing her down until his entire shaft was buried in her throat. The sounds of her gagging and struggling for air made a sadistic grin appear on his face. The more she struggled, the more pleasure he felt as her throat spasms were constricting tightly around his cock. Naruto couldn't hold anymore and let his baby batter flood Sim's throat down into her stomach. Pulling his still pumping cock from her mouth, he watched with glee as she flipped down the thick and gooey load he had given her. A few thick ropes of cum painted her face. Naruto was pleased with himself, as he admired his handily work dripping off of the woman's face. Tsume wiped what was left off and climbed up onto the blonde's lap, who was now giving her a bored expression as she sat on his lap, grinding her exposed pussy along his shaft. Leaning into the nook of his neck, Tsume began to kiss and such on his exposed skin. Naruto sat there, unimpressed with Tsume's display of affection. He preferred her to be how she was before, feral in showing her devotion to him. This soft mushy shit was boring. Only for a mischievous thought coming rushing in. Grin formed on his face as he looked at Tsume, who only had a love-sick face as she looked to him, her one and only alpha. Pulling her in for a kiss, which she was all too ecstatic in returning, she never noticed the dark look in his eyes as he began to shrink ubiquitous and squeeze her naked ass. She could only moan in pleasure at the pleasant feeling he was giving her. But that soft and gentle treatment was cruelly ended as he slapped her plump ass hard with a fully transformed hand. Since the paw of his hand was hard as steel, Tsume let out a painful cry as he spanked her. Only for her to be thrown across the room, smacking the opposing wall. Before she could even fall after the painful impact, Naruto had braced against the wall, making sure she wasn't able to touch the ground. Before kissing her, as he brushed her lips by his forceful action. Before she could even begin to enjoy their making out, Naruto picked her up and forcibly pinning her to his kitchen table. Tsume could only stare lustfully up at the blonde Adonis, as he glared at her with a satisfying look on his face. Best if you go home, or Mutt Boy will wonder why his bitch of a mother smells like she had been fucked like a whore, he said, leaning down to her, grinding his hardened shaft along her entrance. She could only whimper and desperately began to hump his crotch in hopes of his magnificent cock would sink inside her core. Naruto could only chuckle as he watched a woman be driven by her need of being taken. But looking up, he noticed an onlooker. Smirking to himself, he looked back down to Tsume, and as she began whining for him. Best give my staker a show. If you wanted this bad, fine. Thrusting brutally inside her cause to come in a painful orgasm, she could only wrap her arms around him, holding on to him for dear life as he raped her will and womb. Her cries of pain and pleasure filled his apartment. All the while Naruto looked away from the window, he kept staring at the pale lavender eyes looking in from across the way with the look of betrayal and heartbreak. Go ahead and cry, I have no use for weak-willed women. The blonde thought to himself, only to turn his attention back to the moaning and Cummings brunette beneath him. Better hope this is it, Tsume, because I'm not pulling out. Her cries grew louder as he began to thrust wildly. But like all great things, some things must see you to an end. Puns! Ha! Freeing himself from Tsume's amazingly tight snatch, Naruto could see the look of his lover's face as she laid unconscious from being cream-pied. Her rapid breathing causing her tits to sway with each breath, the slow opposite of his cum from her pussy. If he didn't have to hand in his papers today, Naruto would have just stayed home and kept marking Tsume until she bared him a child. On second thought, having a kid this earn would be troublesome no matter how priceless the mutt's face will be when he sees that I banged his mom, Naruto said, pulling on his new wardrobe. Looking back to Tsume, who had finally caught her breath but chose to stay sleeping on his kitchen table, Naruto walked over and gave one of her lovely breasts a firm squeeze and suckle of the nipple, causing a small moan from the sleeping woman. Stepping outside, Naruto stretched his arms, letting the small stiffness he had gotten after his morning workout. Naruto chose to wear something more fitting. He no longer wore his once favorite jumpsuit. Now he chose to wear dark blue jean shorts, a mesh muscle shirt, and a black vest that had dark orange trimming and a depiction of tiger's head on the back. He chose to leave the vest open as it would let him change between forms freely without restrictions. The shorts were better as it would let his leg muscles to expand fully without having his feet go numb from the lack of blood. Tying his shorts up was his Konoha emblem, as the headband would fall off if he changed into his beast form. All in all, Naruto had to say he looked good. If some almost stripping and begging to be fucked in the clothing store meant anything, he was grateful that no one was there to see it, or hear it. He would have kept minding his own business until he heard shouting from down the alley, two of which he knew all too well. Can't I have just one peaceful day, just one? It's all I'm asking. Naruto groaned out as he made his way over to the commotion. Hey! Would you guys shut up? Naruto glared at the noise makers. Sakura Haruno and Konohamaru Sarutobi. I might have known, Naruto said to himself as he caused the two aforementioned to blush in shame, turning his attention to the other two four. Okay, Furnace is in the tree with him, the little brother. Looking to the one holding Konohamaru up by the collar of his shirt, Naruto's eyes shifted into a green color. I would ask you to put the boy down, but judging by your appearance and cruel behavior, you would act in typical knuckle-fraggers fashion and would challenge me, Naruto said, stepping forward, pushing Sakura behind him. But I ask, no, I demand. Put the boy down, or you will lose an arm. Oh, how do you plan on doing that, The older boy in black asked, still hold the boy by the neck, while reaching to the bundle on his back. Don't tell me you're planning on using Crow here? The girl beside him whispered in a harsh tone. Well, hello, beautiful, Naruto said, appearing in front of the girl, with Konoha under his arm. If I had known a beauty such as yourself would be here, I would have made myself look more presentable. Oh, now you're in for it, Konohamaru said with a smug tone. Konohamaru! Naruto staring at the boy with a stern look. In the presence of a lady. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause trouble, the boy said, bowing the best he could from being held like a rag doll. Good, run along, I will play ninja with you later, just stay out of trouble, Naruto said, shooing the boy away. Once he was gone, Naruto looked back with an embarrassing look. Sorry, Konohamaru is just being a child. I hope hasn't caused you and your sister much trouble. The blonde girl couldn't help but muffle a laugh at her brother's face at being addressed to as a woman. I'm a guy. Why the makeup? Naruto asked, looking at him. It's war paint. It's makeup. It has her scent on it, Naruto said, pointing his thumb to the blondes behind him, while the cat-themed boy was going red in anger. By the way, is he with you? Naruto asked them, only to see their confusion. Sasuke, get your ass out the tree, you can find another stick for your ass another time. But you with the smell of sand and blood, get over here. Having the Uchiha appear made Sakura squeal like her normal self all over again about how cool Sasuke is. Felt sick writing that. But it was when a red head with a large gourd appeared behind the blonde and the makeup-wearing teens that made Naruto suspicious, as he noticed the fear they had when he appeared. Chigara too. Kankuro, shut up. You have embarrassed our village, the redhead said, bowing to the vest-wearing blonde. Forgive my sister and brother's idiocy. Sure, no problem, but your sister was not in fault. I find her quite pleasing, Naruto said, letting husky growl escape his throat, which caused the girl's face to go red. But it would seem I do not know your names. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and this is my brother. Now Gaara's wasn't one to ever back away, But what he was seeing in front of him caused Mother to be fearful and silent of what was going on in front of him. Once he was fully transformed, the toxic green eyes looked at ocean green. "You're really pretty. What's your name?" "Anaju Uzumaki." The childish tone came. It had sounded like a child around the ages of 5 or 4 years of age. "You look like a lion but smells like wind and sand." "Sand Icon." The creature yelled, picking the girl up in a bone-crushing hug, only for it to freeze before placing her down. "Sorry, Big Brother scolded me. I didn't wait until I learned your names," the creature said, bowing repeatedly to the team of siblings. "I am Gara Sabaku, these are my..." Big Brother says they should introduce themselves as it is polite. When someone else introduces them, it is considered rude, Anaju said, but inside Naruto was laughing his ass off at seeing the what the fuck look appearing on Gaara's face. Kankuro. Makeup lady? War paint. Makeup. War paint. Makeup. War paint. It's war paint, Anaju said with a large shit-eating grin. It's makeup, god fucking damn it. Kankuro yelled, stomping his foot into the dirt, only to see the amused looks on everyone's faces. Even Gaara had a small smile on his face. Fuck. He's funny, Anaju said, laughing like an innocent child. What's your name, pretty lady? Blushing at being complimented, Temari felt her cheeks burn at being placed on the spot. Temari, she said reluctantly as Anaju's face took the form of wonder and amazement. Be right back, the large cat-like creature said before zipping off, leaving a large cloud of dust behind him, only for him to leer right after the dust had settled. Here, these are for you, Sandy-chan. Holding in his large clawed hand were dozen and half desert tiger lilies. What no one knew was this flower was so rare that even in its native homeland these flowers were almost scarce. And they happened to be Temari's favorite flower. Thank you, they're beautiful, she said, amazed at the beauty of the orange and golden flowers. They're not as pretty as you, Anaju said, mumbling quietly to himself, but she had heard him. It had shown he was truly a young mind, and how shy he was around others. The forgotten company could only stare in an odd fascination as Anaju, Naruto's younger brother, was flirting with the blonde Suna Kunoichi. Vice versa with the Sand brothers, they were amazed at how a creature that looked it was from children's nightmares was acting like a bashful child. That's sweet of you, Anajukin, Temari said, kissing the beast's cheek. Hee hee. Came the embarrassing laugh from Anaju as could look up as even his golden fur took on a reddish hue. Big Brother always tells me to tell the truth. But Anaju quickly moved before standing in front of Gaara. The silence between them was scary. It changed from acute and innocent to dark and bloodthirsty. Why? Is Big Brother Mr. 9? Gaara asked, looking at the creature. Or are you Mr. 9? His question was met with laughter. Haha, that's a good one. I'm not that big meanie. Besides, I only have one, see? Anaju said, waving his single scorpion tail. And Big Brother isn't Mr. 9. Big Brother is Big Brother. Anaju is Sakurikan. What is the word for the thing in a mirror again, and that funny word when duck but gets pink eye? Anajukin is Naruto's bloodline personification. Due to being just recently being activated, Anajukin has the mentality of a young child. Sakura said, rubbing her temples. She didn't know which gave her the worse headache, Naruto or Anaju. Naruto with his new change in behavior, or how Anaju acted like the old Naruto, but a lot more childish. Thank you, Sakura-kun, the beast said happily, before looking up to where the sun is. Oh no! I have to get Big Brothers to GG. Anaju yelled as he ran on all fours, past the Sunanines and the members of Team 7. A few blocks away on rooftops, a group of genin were looking down at what had transpired. We best be careful of that one, or Orochimaru-sama may want the Uchiha, said the mummified genin, said, looking to his teammates. But with that thing, our target may be a little harder to get, said the other male genin. I think we should wait, said the only female member of the team, only to be glared at. Shut up, Kin. Your girlfriend ain't here to save you this time, said the spiked-haired genin. He glared at the girl, but there was a look of sick lust in his eyes. Piss us off, and I will show you why cock is better and licking pussy. The girl was scared. She knew the both of them were known to rape their female teammates. 6 of them either left or committed suicide after only a week. And she was here a month only because her friends scared them off. So you like sucking cock, Came a dark, amused voice from behind them, causing them all to freeze in place. But the thing is, I despise rapists. Hypocrite! Truly I do. Turning around, the three were looking at the very creature they had just seen take off. So threatening such a fine young lady, when she clearly has no interest in you, really pisses me off, the beast said. His claws started to glow red hot as the air around them began to steam. Before any of them could move, the creature chopped them in the neck, knocking them out. "I'm going to enjoy making you my puppets," Naruto said with a grin, looking at the three unconscious genin. "After all, Mama had asked me to get back at what the snake did to poor Anko, whoever that is." Creating a few clones to take the three back to his apartment, Naruto idly wondered if sending a clone to hand in the permission slip would suffice. 2 hours had passed, and Naruto had separated the genin. While his clones dealt with the two young men, he, the original, took care of the only female. "Look alive, sunshine," Naruto pureed in her ear, which only made the girl make a gentle groan. "No Teyuyukin, it too early," came the tired groan from the girl. "Sorry, but there is no Teyuyukin here," Naruto said. This time his growling chuckle caused the girl's eyes to open with fright. "Relax, I'm not going to harm you. I'm just looking for answers to some questions. Questions you know the answers to." The girl said nothing as she put up a brave front, while glaring at him, while her face and body language said defiance. It was her eyes that screamed fear. Groaning to himself, Naruto pinched his brow out of frustration. He didn't fault the girl, inferring she might be harmed. He was actually a little honest. "Look, I just want to know why Orochimaru is coming back to Konoha. I know he is a missing nin, and the Facebook he is making his move now means one of two things," Naruto said, looking at the girl. Her face might not have changed, but her eyes had fear, was now terror. He was digging at the truth. "How about this? You tell me everything you know, and I will use whatever pull I have with the council and place you under my clan's protection. Deal?" No words came, just a dark glare. Naruto hated himself for the fact he was going to go for the emotional attack on the poor girl. "Look, I'm making this deal to not just protect you but maybe this Tayuya girl as well," Naruto said. He felt sick with himself as he noticed the quick and horrified expression on her face. Yes, he might have enjoyed it on someone who had caused him grief or harm in his past, but to an innocent girl, who had done nothing to him, he was ashamed of himself. "I won't hurt her, I promise you. If it means getting her and maybe your family out of your village to hear COR the protection, I promise I will do it." The girl looked at him, studying him, analyzing every word, every move he made. "You promise?" "I swear to you on the blood of my ancestors, and the blonde in my veins. I will protect you and whoever is precious to you, only if you tell me everything you know," he said, slick his palm open and let in a far amount of his life fluid to fall before the girl. She began to tell him everything she knew, Otogekure and Sunegekure's plans at the end of Chunin exams, the side operation her team was given during the second test. Everything from how she was an orphan, along with some Otogekure shinobi and kunoichi. Most were just missing nins from other villages that joined Otogekure because it WSS like a lawless shinobi village. A cutthroat's paradise. She even told him of her bisexual relationship with her girlfriend Tayuya. That part she did to see what he would do. She was a little disappointed when his reaction was a minor blush on his face. "Well damn, and here I was hoping to win your heart," Naruto said, laughing lightly, only for his eyes to shift into a horrid green color, which she couldn't see as he was behind her undying her restraints. "But I can't say I won't be disappointed." Before she could even ask what he meant, she felt two long fangs bit into her neck. It was painful, as Naruto pumped large amounts of the mind-altering toxin INTL her system. When he pulled back from her neck, he was pleased his experiment worked, adding a little of his Uzumaki longevity into her as her wounds closed up only moments later. Her dark raven eyes had a green shine to them as well. Looking at her, Naruto smirked slightly. While the girl loved Tayuya, truly she did. He just made it that she also held him in the same place in her heart as she did her girlfriend. "Kinchan, are you alright?" Naruto asked, fringing innocence. "Oh Naruto-kun, I had such a horrible nightmare." The girl yelled. She threw herself into his arms, sobbing as if she had experienced a horrible nightmare. "I dreamt I was stuck in a place with only Teyuyukin, and a creepy snake man was holding us against our will, and then... SSSSH it okay. I'm here." Naruto said, stroking her long hair, calming her as he did so. While his voice was soft and kind, the look in his eyes was anything but. I am so glad I was able to rescue you, Kin-chan, but I wasn't able to save Taiyukin. She is still held captive by Orochimaru team. But we have to save her, Kin pleaded, looking up at him with teary eyes. And we will. Remember you told me that she would be here and at the end of month after the end of the second exam? Naruto said, giving her a kind smile, stroking her cheek. As she leaned into his hand, she had missed his touch. It had felt like a lifetime for her. Never happened, so in a way, yeah, it was a lifetime. Feeling his thumb rub over her lips, Kin could only look up at him with love in her eyes. He was the only man she would ever let touch her, while she was Taiyuya's girlfriend, and same with Taiyuya. Their only man they would ever let touch them. WSS this man before her. Kin, while sexually active with Taiyuya, had never really done anything with a man before. Even her beloved Naruto-kun. She was still frightening of actually losing her virginity. Naruto-kun, she wondered aloud, looking up at him, love and lust in her eyes. Yes, Kin-chan? Naruto asked with care and love in his voice, but the dark amusement on his face which only made him look like a hands-on rogue in the girl's eyes. Could we, can we? She would have done more to embarrass herself in front of him. He didn't lean down and kissed her, shuttling her up. Pulling himself away from the kiss, he knew what she wanted, though he wanted to claim her. He would have to wait, after all, can't have her their shared girlfriend showing up and denying what was not actually going on. It okay, Kin-chan, don't push yourself. Remember we promised to do it when Taiyuya was with us. Don't want to break her heart now, do we? Naruto said kindly, causing a look of understanding from the girl be shown. While he said he would have sex with her, it didn't mean he wasn't going to enjoy her young tight body. Pulling her back into a loving embrace, Naruto titled Kin's head up to him. Leaning down, he captured her sweet, tasteful lips in a soft and passionate kiss, much to the girl's enjoyment. Her soft moaning as his hands traveled her young body. Kin was in euphoria as she felt her body being melted by his passionate flames. Releasing her from the kiss, Naruto slowly undid her jacket and pants, letting them fall to the floor. He quickly picked her up and led her to the bed. Laying down with him above her, Kin was ready for whatever her lover would do to her. She didn't know if she would lose her virginity or not. If she did, it would be to the only man she would ever or has ever loved. Taking her shirt off, Naruto found it strange that she was the second woman that chose to not wear a bra. It could be that it hampered movements, maybe? He didn't care. Her lovely young and perky breast had caught his attention. While tsume was a lightish dark brown in color, Kin had a lovely shade of pink. The cool air had made the nubs of her nips become hard. Taking a nip onto his mouth, he gently licked and bit the small nub, while pinching and pulling on the other. Kin's moans filled the room. She missed this feeling, the same feeling Taiyuya had made her feel everything they slept together. Now their shared boyfriend, Kin believes it, so it must be true. 9_9 was making tense love to her breasts. Naruto-kun, she moaned as Naruto kissed his way to between her legs, only having a pair of light blue panties between him and her most safely guarded treasure. She only threw her head back in a mournful scream as he began his teasing as he licked her core from the other side of the cloth. Naruto couldn't help but smirk at her as she came all over her panties, staining them with her love juices. Cutting the straps that hugged her hips, he discarded her once clean panties. Are you ready, my little sparrow? Naruto said, giving her the nickname she had programmed into her memories. Yes, my devious beast, she said as he pulled her hips to his mouth and began to attack her core with his roughly textured tongue, which sent shockwaves of pleasure as she began to moan and cry out as he was hitting all the right spots with his tongue alone. Her body began to convulse as her inner walls began constricting around the blonde's tongue. Her silent scream of pleasure and the arching of her back as she came told Naruto he had broken the young girl. Her erratic breathing as she tried to calm herself from her orgasm high as too much for her. Not even Taiyuya could be about such pleasure for her. Laying down beside her, Naruto had a satisfying smile on his face as he looked at her tired form. Kin, on the other hand, didn't like that smile. If she was a mess, she was going to make him one too. But her plans for payback were placed on hold as Naruto pulls her close. For now, the rest of the day was just them, her naked body laying against his shirtless chest. Snaking her hand into his pants, she was shocked to find such a monster truly existed. Pulling herself on top of the blonde, looked down at him. She could feel him growing beneath the jean shorts separating the two from truly touching each other. Placing both her hands on his muscular chest, Kin could only gaze into those cold and lustful eyes she had fallen for. Moving her hips and grinding her pussy against the growing bulge that was desperately throbbing in anger of her actions. Her innocent moaning she made as she made long and agonizing strokes with her pussy lips. She only gasped in fear as Naruto gripped her by the hips, his beautiful blue eyes shifting to a sinister green, but she relaxed when they returned back to being blue. Kin-chan, we promised. Kissing and playing around, yes. But nothing more than that. Naruto said calmly, making Kin admire him even more. But in truth he was stopping her from pushing his limits before say fuck it and fuck her rotten. I understand, my beast. She said as she went lower until she was facing his crotch. Pulling his zipper down, Kin was treated to the sight of a true monster. 10 full inches of untamable cock springing up and smacked her in the face. Naruto could only smirk as half of her shocked face was covered by his fully erect cock. What's the matter, beast, caught my little sparrow's tongue? He asked, stroking her hair out of her face. Returning to her senses, Kin began her exploration of the thick and meaty cock. She savored the taste as she took everything she could into her mouth. Her moaning sent shivers of pleasure along Naruto's shaft, causing him to moan at the feeling. For almost an hour, Kin had memorized every millimeter of his majestic cock. She had tasted it so much that she was sure she would never forget it, before he gave her something that was new. Thick, creamy, and bittersweet. She was in a daze as she swallowed his load. Looking out his window, he knew he caused the girl to cry her heart out. And he was fine with it. Weakness wasn't what he wanted women for his cause. His just and noble cause. Closing his eyes, Naruto let the sleeping world take him, unconsciously pulling Kin close to him as he slept. Next day with his clones. Dosu and his teammate Saku have been beaten and abused. They had been beaten by what felt like iron clubs. Looking up, Dash knew that this man knew he terrified the disfigured teen. The punches alone had done a number on him. Are you going to talk? The blonde asked, cracking his knuckles, which sounded like skulls being crushed. He only got deep breathing from the teen as his response. Sigh, look kid, you can at least say something before I punch you. That skin girl only gave me some useless crap before I was done with her. Go fuck yourself. The mummified teen said, be spitting a wad of blood onto the blonde's face. Now that's just rude. Naruto said, wiping the blood off his face, disappointment writing all over his face. The little sweetheart at least had some manners. Oh well. Before Dosu knew what happened, he felt a sharp stinging in his neck before his mind went blank. The other and final member of the team was treated much the same way. Moving the two sound shinobi into a shared room, Naruto entered just as the two entered to awaken. Dash. Zaka. Thank goodness you guys are alright. Naruto said, quickly untying the two genin. Naruto-sama? Dosa asked, not sure why he felt so tired and groggy. Yeah, it's me. You two are lucky that Kin was able to escape, and tell me where you two were. Naruto said, smirking to himself, realizing he didn't have to bite anyone with his venom. He just has to make sure it gets into their bloodstream just to infect them. Hollow Saban needles will work in his career. Kin? Is she alright? Asked a frantic Saku as he struggled to free himself. The cloudy haze in his mind slowly began to clear in both Dosu and himself as the venom began to finish its course. Yes, she is at my place sleeping now. Naruto said as he finally got the ropes undone. Poor Kin-chan. She was so scared. She feared she would have lost her brother figures to that damn Orochimaru and his Fuinjinjutsu. Fuinjinjutsu? The both asked, confused. Yeah, don't you remember how you guys were acting before? You both scared the poor girl, threatening her to do things to her. Naruto said, earning repulsed looks on the two. Oh god, what did I do? Zaka asked, ashamed of his prior behavior under Orochimaru's command. What did I almost do to her? It's okay, Zaku. You went yourself. She won't blame you, but I don't know if she would trust you guys Tuesday same way ever again. Naruto said, raking their unknowing souls with guilt of false memories and hazed memories of what actually happened. But come on, I don't know when they will come back. Leading the two was easy considering that one of the training grounds had a shack he used to house them. That bastard was clever to hide in Konoha, right under the Hokage's nose. Naruto said to them as he led them back to his place. Dosu began to have a hazy memory of Orochimaru. Naruto-sama. Orochimaru. He is planning on attacking Konoha. Dosu shouted in shock. His home was going to be attacked. He had almost harmed the girl he saw as a little sister. Zaku wasn't much different. He felt horrible. The memories he had while under Orochimaru's control made him sick. He had raped innocent women, all with a disgusting look of satisfaction after each conquest. How could she forgive me? I almost raped her. I would have done it had tonight. Zaku said in shock. He remembered what his possessed self thought at the time. He was planning on raping her in the hotel room. Zaku, you are in control now. Not that monster that called himself a man. Naruto said, earning a small nod from the boy. Finally reaching his place, he ushered them inside, making no one saw them. A moment later, a terrifying scream erupted from the apartment. I'm so glad I planned this ahead of time, for this shit. Naruto thought to himself as tried to settle things down. Kin! It's them! It's really them! Naruto shouted at the girl, who was hiding behind him in fear of the other two men. It's them, Kin-chan, it really them this time. Not the mind-controlled puppets of Orochimaru team. True, Kin, we are really here this time, Dosu said, giving the girl a nice smile. Yeah, it's your Nikons, Zaku said, still ashamed of his former self. Dosuniai is a kuniai? She asked, unsure if this is just some bizarre dream she finally was waking up from. Yeah, sis, it us. Zaku said, only for both Dosu and himself to be taken in a bone-crushing hug from Kin, who was crying happily to have her brothers back. It's okay, Kinomoto, everything will be back to way it was. We must have Teyuyuni to get back, and we can all to be together with Naruto-sama. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that, which was shared with the other two. Not like that, Zaku yelled, finally noticing how it sounded. I don't swing that way, Zaku, but if you're into that it's fine, Naruto said, joking with former sound ninja. I didn't mean it like that, Naruto-sama, Zaku yelled, weeping comedic fashion as the others tease him. Okay. That's enough. I'm going to go get Gigi. He might reinstate you all, but will probably have you all working undercover as your controlled selves, Naruto said, but Kin looked afraid. She didn't want to go anywhere near that man again. It won't be alright, Kin. It will be just for the exams. And once it's done, we might be able to save Teyuyukin. Hearing this, Kin became determined to get her and her boyfriend's girlfriend back. Alright, just stay here, make sure no one sees you, Naruto said, leaving the apartment. Entering the Kage Tower was simple. The hard part is getting the needle with his venom ejected into the old man. If there is one thing I know, this will always work, Naruto muttered to himself. He actually came to hate his signature jutsu. Opening the door, Naruto noticed that the old man was there, but also his hidden ANBU bodyguards, who happened to be all male. Fuck yeah, Naruto thought to himself. Hey Gigi, he yelled, earning the ST emotions of everyone in the room. Sexy harem jutsu, Naruto yelled out as he clones himself while hinging them into various attractive women, all nude and making out with each other in front of them. To say the room became a bloodbath would be saying Orochimaru had a slight liking to underage boys. Walking quickly as he could before they had regained their senses, Naruto stabbed the old man with the needle, making sure every drop of venom was now inside the old man. Now for the best acting in all the lands, he thought to himself. Ha ha ha, you should see the looks on your faces, ha ha ha. Naruto, Hiruzen said in a stern tone. While he enjoyed a good prank the boy made, he didn't like it when he was the butt of the joke, but relaxed since there was no harm actually done. I trust you coming here wasn't just to chat, my boy. Yeah, Gigi. I found them. They're back, Naruto said, triggering his venom's effects inside the old man's mind. As a look of shock and hope came across his face, before turning to a very stern and angry look. Naruto, he warned, he had hoped against all hope that those four were safe. I'm serious here. Dosu, Zaku, and Kin are safe, Naruto said, wondering to himself if the effect would still work. And Teyuyukin? Is she safe? Hiruzen asked hopefully, but became worried when Naruto looked down silently. The boy's expression told him she was still under Orochimaru's control. I see, thank you, Naruto. Come take me to them, I must see if they are safe. For myself. Hi. The trip back to his place was WSS short, his plan while still growing was turning out better than expected. The turnout was just as planned. Dosu's disfigurement stuck the old man's heartstrings, making the old man vow to make his former student pay for his sins. After the reunion between the former enemies that acted like grandfather and grandchildren, the old Kage had reinstated them as Konoha Genin. But, for the former Sound Genin, like Naruto had predicted, they had been tasked with spying as undercover agents on Orochimaru as if nothing changed. They were to drop out of the after-second exams except for Dosu. He was to move on to the third exam. The old monkey was filling his role as Naruto political puppet nicely. Time skip. Naruto was glaring at his Uchiha teammate. He hated him right now. You just had to open that stupid fucking mouth of yours, Naruto said, having both his eyes shift to green as he glared at the brat. That was to weed out the weak dumbass. Now because of your faggoty ass, we have more of a compilation. How fucking stupid are you? What a dope, the Uchiha said with his own glare. Or what? You can't do shit. I laid you out 25 times since my return from Wave, and you have yet to even make a scratch on me, Naruto said, rubbing it in that the Uchiha had gotten weaker. Some elite, you are getting smacked around like a bitch. Fucking masochist. He knew he was getting under the kid's skin if the twitching eyebrow and gritting of his teeth meant anything. He couldn't become stronger as Kakashi had stopped privately training him. He had ordered the council why this was. And they brushed him off. Because you had unlawfully tried to kill the fourth Hokage's son, was their reply, and that any support he had with them was now null and void. It burned him with anger, he WSS becoming weaker, and the doneness becoming stronger. But before they could even go to the next floor, an unexpected guest had arrived. You there? I challenge you, yelled a boy dressed in a green onesie, right spelling? With orange leg warmers, and a bowl cut. I don't have time for losers. The Uchiha Sky has spoken arrogantly, dismissing the challenge, but felt his pride swell as some still thought of him as an elite. No, not you, the one with the blonde hair, the challenger said, correcting the Uchiha. What? I have no need to test myself against such a coward like you, the boy said in disgust as he looked at Sasuke, before turning to the blonde. Do you accept my challenge, Naruto Uzumaki? Why not? I have some time to kill. But a few rules, nothing fancy, just a simple spar, no jutsu, or special taijutsu attacks, Naruto said, remembering what his mother once said about a genin that was dressed in all green and specialized in taijutsu. Other than that, fair game. A most youthful suggestion, the kid said excitedly. Limiting to only hand-to-hand combat, and no special moves, you truly are a youthful individual. Naruto-san. You know my name, but you have yet to give me yours, Naruto said, taking a bizarre fighting stance, one that was familiar to the green-suited teen. Lee, you are no beast, Naruto said, grinning, as he hooked his fingers to make them look like claws, but the way he positioned himself was far, far too familiar for Lee. Tell me, do you know the Jukin? Lee asked, puzzled. Kinda, only basics. I am actually using Jukin, the beast fist. By combining circle walking, the basic way of Jukin, along with Tiger Kung Fu for its ferocity, Hungar Kung Fu for the strength-based attacks, with Muay Thai to pull it together. Naruto explained his style. Impressive. I take it you will not be using all these skills? Lee asked, looking at the style, which was the same stance as the Jukin, but the way Naruto held his hands were face down and his fingers hooked like claws. Only circle walking and tiger, Naruto said as Lee near him. Not taking being ignored anymore, Sasuke went in for what he thought would be a surprise attack, only to receive a swift kick, Lee, and a fierce punch/claw, Naruto, to the face, sending him flying back into a wall. This made Naruto and Lee begin their fight. Lee could have sworn B was fighting his teammate. The precision of his movements was on par with his, but the speed and strength behind the claw/punches was making up for lack of sight. But before they could even finish, Naruto and Lee were sent flying as a large turtle appeared. The fuck? Naruto muttered to himself, shacking the cobwebs from his head. Hitting a sewn pillar head first wasn't the best ways to end a fight. But after an awkward meeting with Lee-sensei, Team 7 had finally made it to room 301. Opening the door, Sasuke and Sakura froze at the Ki coming the other genin. Smirking, Naruto stepped forward. In a loud and very terrifying roar, Naruto had leaked some of the Kyuubi's Ki for good measure into the roar, causing some of the windows to crack. Pussies, was all he said as he spotted Kin, Dosu, and Zaku, giving them an unnoticeable nod, which they returned. Looking around, he didn't bother paying attention to the other Konoha rookies coming around. But he barely noticed the hurt expression on a certain Hyuga's face. He knew she stalked him, and he was very pleased to know she stopped after she had seen him with Kin and Tsume. Speaking off, said Inuzuka, Naruto smirked at Kiba, as he had yet to notice he was banging his mother's brains out. But he had to make a stupid comment. I guess if the dope is here, this test can't be that hard, the Inuzuka Aaron said confidently. That what your mother said last night, before she found out how hard I can be, Naruto said, only to see the enraged look on the boy's face. All poor predictable Kiba. What did you say? The boys yelled in anger. I said I had a piece of your mama's sweet ass last night, Naruto said, only infuriated the boy even more. Said it one more time, Naruto, just one more inch. Naruto looked at Kin, whose face was beet red. She was there last night, and she could confirm that what he said was true. Tsume Inuzuka had said those exact words. She herself had never masturbated as furiously as she had last night. She had desperately wanted to join in, but she wanted to keep herself pure until they rescued Taiya from Orochimaru. Only then will she know the feeling of a man inside, the same man Ahe would share with her beloved Taiya. For the last few minutes it was boring, but it changed when some white-haired kid offered information on the genin, and some rather old and outdated information about himself as Sasuke tried to find some info to use against him. Tell me what you have on Orochimaru of the Chunin, Naruto asked, giving a faint smirk. His blue eyes shifted to green, caused the purple-dressed medic to shiver in fear. Let's see, Orochimaru. S-rank missing nin hailing from Konohagakure. Speciality, snake summons, and snake-related jutsus. Mission history. 26 rank. 89 crank. 60 rank. 67 rank. 34 rank. Warring approach with extreme caution. The boy, Kabuto said, reading off the info on the card. I see they didn't put anything about him having a thing for little boys, or it's just general knowledge now. I mean, come on, the guy just screams I like touching little boys, it makes me feel oh so good. But whatever. Naruto waving the guy off. Before anything could be said, they were told to take their seats. Naruto found himself sitting between familiar Kunoichi Konoha Kunoichi. One of them had dark brown hair, while the other had a light blue. Fuck me, he said, slamming his head into the table. Great, just fucking great. Former SFC president and vice president. Ameri Hitsuji and Koryo Genkatsu, OCs, now president and vice president of the NUNFC. Can't his get any worse? Hi Naruto-kun. Came a slutty creating from the president herself. While her tone said slut, her body language said I'm meek and shy when it comes to sex. This greeting was also shared with the other one on his other side. Fuck, maybe I can use this. Hey girls, are you nervous about the exams? Naruto asked in fake concern, showing himself to be a caring person. Yes, I think this won't be so bad. Yeah, a little. It's my first time here in the exams, so I don't know what to expect, Ameri said meekly, only to feel Naruto placing a hand of comfort on her thigh. Don't worry. I'm here, he said, rubbing her thigh, causing her to blush as his sweet smile and gesture. He turned to Koryo and done the same, easing both girls. But he didn't stop there. With each stroke his hand got closer and closer to between their legs, making both girls blush furiously as he got closer to the peak between their legs, only for his hands to travel around their waists until his rested on their firm but very juicy asses. With a teasing squeeze, Naruto leaned over to Ameri, whispered few words that began to make her drool, and her eyes clouded over with lust. The same could be said for Koryo. How was it he bravest of the two girls? She had slid under the desk, and pulled his huge cock out and began sucking. It only made things better for the blonde, as the brunette's mother was a street worker for the red light district. How had been hoping her daughter would become a whore like herself. But Naruto didn't complain. He placed the hand that was once on her ass on top her head, helping her take all of his meaty glory. Ameri on the other hand was so turned on at seeing her friend suck off the blonde beside her, that she began masturbate, with her hands snaking themselves into her shirt and pants to finger herself and knead her breasts. She let out a shocking yell as she felt Naruto sliding his hand under panties and began groping her ass. Naruto was enjoying himself, But he noticed that the Chunin that were keeping an eye on them were passed out from blood loss from the nose. Jonin Lounge. Several of the Jonin senseis, both local and foreign, were leaking blood from their noses. Majority have been shinobi. The majority of the kunoichi were either red in the face of anger or lustful embarrassment. Attaboy. Naruto. Kakashi was cheering from his seat. Not only was he happy, but it would seem his idol will have tons of inspiration because of the blonde. While his other fellow Jonin had mixed reactions. Asuma was slack-jawed at seeing the young blonde playing around with two young women. He could say he was impressed, but the female Jonin beside him would likely kill him. Speaking of said kunoichi, Kurinai Yuhi was glaring daggers at the Uzumaki. As he was distracting the two girls from the exam. They would fail if they were caught. Not that they would be if the unconscious Chunin sitting at either end of the row. Useless perverts. Might Guy was embarrassed at how the blonde was representing Konoha. But among the foreign ninja, it was some of the more vocal kunoichi that asked the question. I wonder if they will be assigning him rank missions. I certainly wouldn't mind if he came over ANS dust my pipes. One of the more mature kunoichi said, who hailed from grass. Back with exams. Naruto now had Ameri bouncing on his lap. Koryo was back in her seat laying down sleeping with a highly satisfied smile on her face, but gave an innocent burp that resulted with drool leaking out that was mixed with Naruto's cum. But with Ameri, she was trying with all be might not to make a sound. She was unable to fit the full 10 inches in, but getting 7 out of 10 isn't so bad for her at least. Naruto had snaked his hands up her shirt and started to tease her nipples. She was in heaven, she was pleased with herself, she had found a man that was worth following. Even if it meant just being fucked and forgotten, much better than Sasuke. Her eyes began to roll back when Naruto started to speed up his tempo. Never one to be gentle, Naruto moved his hands to her hips, as a dark look appeared over his face. Ameri-chan. I'm gonna go all the way in. Naruto said, his grin never leaving, even as the look on her face begged him not to. He ignored it as he lifted her hips until only his tip was inside her, before violently pushing her down, shoving his whole shaft inside her. Ameri didn't know what to do. Her world was a mixture of pain and pleasure, his roughness and her being forcibly being filled to the painful point she was sure Naruto had just entered her womb as it banged against the very bottom. She could make a single noise. She had fainted just after coming like a waterfall. Oh, I broke her. Naruto whined with a grin, pulling her off his lap. He was solo happy his jeans were made of hydrophobic material, as she just made a mess of the floor and not his pants. Kin, who had been sitting right behind him, was fingering herself beneath the genjutsu, but briefly wondered if waiting a month or so until Taiya was back with them was something she could do. She hoped it was. Sitting a few rows ahead of the blonde, lilac eyes dripping with tears, as her heart was broken yet again. Naruto, on the other hand, only had 20 minutes left. Looking around, Naruto used every ounce of his bloodline speed to his advantage. What seemed like a nasty win for everyone was just Naruto racing around the room collecting his answers. Sitting down as if he had never moved, Naruto had a shit-eating grin on his face. 20 minutes later. Naruto, for some unknown reason, felt the need to fuck what he had just seen. Standing in front of the classroom, with a banner that said, "The Sexy and Single." Great. Anko Midarashi. Naruto felt his animal side kick in, just like Tsume. He wanted her, but for now he would have to wait. Sexy and still single? Naruto asked aloud, making everyone turn to look at him. I could help with that. Well, the single part. I like the sexy though. Eyeing her over, Anko felt a few things. 1. Her ego took a huge jump at being eyed up, like it normally does. 2. She felt a bit of pink dust her cheeks. Oh ho, is that a fact? Anko asked, appearing sitting in front of sure her coat was open in just the right way as only he could see what WSS beneath. Are you suggesting something, little boy? I'm not so little, Naruto said, standing up to glare at her, but had completely forgotten what he had been doing to the two girls beside him. He only remembered when Anko looked down to size him up, but was glued to the angry-looked one-eyed dragon that was glaring at her. Huge, so. Fucking. Huge. Anko was whispering to herself, as she found herself unable to look away. Before it was the men that suffered blood loss, now it was the kunoichi, but young and old, well older than the teens anyway. How can that be so fucking huge? Covering himself up, Naruto had the decency to hide his Ryu no Ishigan from view. A masturbation? Naruto said, unsure of it himself, this WSS followed by a ton of men scribbling this down into a pocket notebook. Anko, still glued to a once-in-a-lifetime cock, nodded dumbly, her eyes never leaving the boy's crotch. Hey, my eyes are up here! Naruto shouted angrily. I made my choice, the special Jonin said as other kunoichi agreed with her. Then pay up. This caused her to look up at him in both shock and anger. Why should I pay? Because you made me uncomfortable, and if you want to keep looking you have to pay, Naruto said, challenging the woman and the other kunoichi. Fine, how much? 10,000 ryo, Naruto said with a smug look on his face. What? 10,000? I can get a month of dango for that, or at most 3 prostitutes for that price, Anko said at the scam he was pulling. So they don't have a 10-inch cock, do they? How much? Anko asked, followed by other kunoichi asking the same thing. 100,000 ryo for a full night, Naruto said, seeing the looks of hopeful dreams being shattered. He was amused by it. Fine, 100,000 Anko said, turning to look at Ibiki. Hey Ibiki, how much overtime did I put in for this month? More than enough, the scared man said, shaking his head at his colleague's antics. You have a total of 600 hours overtime this month, added with overtime pay. I think 700,000 is about right. Naruto didn't know if he should be thrilled or scared at seeing Anko rearing her head back at him, well, his cock anyway. So how about it? She asked, rubbing her long slender fingers along the bulge in his pants. 700,000 ryo, how about it, sugar? Winking at the end, Naruto was really thinking if he should have kept his mouth shut. How about? After the second exams, you get a month off, she said, cutting him off. Fine, so a week? You sure you want to do that? I just might break you in your bank account, Naruto said, grinning like a madman. If that happens, just be sure to knock me up, so I can have that cock all the time, Anko said, giving the bulge one last teasing stroke before leaving him there with a massive hard-on. Oh, he was going to make her pay for that, and not just with 700k. Looking forward to it, Naruto said, kind of pissed off he had a hard-on. He would deal with it later. Right now he and the other Chunin hopefuls had to go to his playground. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video? Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow Megatronus89 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.